All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick's on the Power. So I wanted to make a full video profile on Shawn Rhoden now that he is the 14th man to win the Mr. Olympia competition. So on this channel, I have a whole playlist of basically documentaries, biographies on each individual Mr. Olympia winner. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. I'm going to be adding this video to that playlist. So first and foremost, from a bodybuilding history standpoint, Shawn Rhoden is the oldest Mr. Olympia to ever win the Olympia title, beating out Chris Dickerson by just a few months at the age of 43 years old. Now, including his 2018 Mr. Olympia win, Shawn Rhoden has placed in the top 6 at the Mr. Olympia for 6 consecutive years, starting in 2012 all the way to 2018. He was also runner-up at the 2016 Mr. Olympia. Now, Shawn has actually been competing in bodybuilding since the mid-90s, but his pro career would not begin until 2010, where he would make his pro debut at the 2010 Dallas Europa Super Show, where he would take 16th. And he earned his pro card back in 2009 when he won the IFBB North American Championships. Now, Shawn Rhoden's current stage weight ranges from 245 to 255 on stage at a height of about 5 foot 10 inches tall. Now, the interesting thing about Shawn's story is that a lot of people counted him out after the 2017 Mr. Olympia. Now, keep in mind, in 2016, he was second. A lot of people were expecting in 2017, he was yet again going to be one of the top contenders for the title. But when 2017 came around, we saw a lackluster version of Shawn Rhoden, and he would drop all the way down to 5th place. His conditioning just was not as good. He had a little bit of distension in the midsection. And for Shawn Rhoden, that's one of the things that really hurts him, because Shawn's biggest strong point is being one of the guys with the smallest waist on stage. Having some of the best developed and best separated abs on stage is really his strongest advantage, I think. Going up against bigger, more muscular guys, having that V-taper and that small waist and those well-defined abs is one of the strongest things he has going for him. So in 2017, he lost that a little bit, and he came in a little bit off. Now, the reason that he gave for that was that he had a broken jaw going into that Olympia, so it was hard for him to take in the food that he needed to take in, and he was drinking, stuff through a straw, and that's what led to the lackluster appearance in 17. Now, going into the 2018 Arnold Classic, Shawn Rhoden was scheduled to compete, and that was going to be Shawn Rhoden's big comeback after a kind of disappointing Mr. Olympia showing. Now, had Shawn Rhoden competed in the 2018 Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio, he was likely going to be the favorite to win that show. This was a show he's been second at before, but that title had eluded him up until that point. So a lot of people thought he was going to come in, win the Arnold, and generate a lot of momentum going into the Olympia, which people felt he needed after the disappointing showing in 17. But obviously the record will show he didn't need that momentum, and he did enough to win the 2018 Olympia without winning the Arnold Classic or even competing in the Arnold Classic. So the reason he pulled out from the 2018 Arnold Classic was he had some severe health issues, some ulcers in his stomach. He had 6 blood transfusions, and it was really a pretty messy situation, but he was able to come back from that and win the Olympia. And not only did he win the 2018 Olympia, but he was able to defeat the 7-time defending champion, Phil Heath. Now, this is something that's pretty rare throughout bodybuilding history, is for a champion that has won the Olympia 7 times, or even more than 3 or 4 times, to be dethroned by a new bodybuilder during his Olympia reign. We saw Dexter Jackson was able to do that with Jay Cutler after Jay Cutler had won 2 Olympias. Lee Haney was never defeated during his 8-time Olympia reign. During the 8 Olympias that Ronnie won, Ronnie Coleman wasn't defeated during his 8 Olympia reign. You had Dorian Yates winning 6 Olympias. Dorian Yates was never defeated during those 6 Mr. Olympia wins. So defeating a Mr. Olympia that had won 7 times and was going for the record of 8 is a very, very big feather in Shawn Rhoden's cap. And also throughout bodybuilding history, it's been a really long time since we've seen an Olympia champion win the Olympia that was a pretty different physique from the standard physique that was winning the Olympia. I mean, you had Dorian, then you had Ronnie, then you had Jay, then you had Phil. Dorian, Ronnie, and Jay all being relatively big mass monsters, and then Phil just kind of being in a league of his own, this crazy 3D roundness and fullness, crazy graininess. Phil Heath was the complete package when he won that 2011 Mr. Olympia, but Shawn Rhoden kind of came in and completely changed the game with a very aesthetic physique, a very small waist, not really a mass monster in really any sense of the word. It kind of changed the standard of the Mr. Olympia. Now a lot of people are thinking it's going to be a new standard going forward to win the Olympia because of Shawn Rhoden winning. But the Olympia title isn't the only title that Shawn Rhoden won during his career. He won the 2012 Tampa Pro, the 2012 Dallas Europa, the 2012 Arnold Classic Europe, the 2012 British Grand Prix. He also won the 2014 Australian Pro, which is basically the Australian Arnold Classic. He won the 2014 San Marino Pro, and then, of course, he won the 2018 Mr. Olympia. So Shawn Rhoden is not by any means short on bodybuilding titles throughout his career. So I think Shawn Rhoden winning the 2018 Olympia was not only an amazing comeback story, but it was also an amazing moment for bodybuilding history, really. And unfortunately for Shawn, he does have an uphill battle ahead of him. A lot of his detractors saying he's a one-and-done Mr. Olympia. This was a fluke, and it's the only time he's going to win. So in the future, in years to come, 2019, he's going to have to prove himself to really define whether or not he's going to be one of those one-time Mr. Olympia champions, like a Chris Dickerson, a Samir Bannout, a Dexter Jackson, or if he's going to be a multiple-time Mr. Olympia champion and set his own record for how many Olympias he's going to win. Because really the main criticism of Shawn, when people say he's not going to be able to win another Mr. Olympia, one of the factors is his age, of course, but the other factor is the fact that he's been inconsistent at the Olympia, but a large part of that was due to illness. So if he's not suffering from any illness or health problems going into the 2019 Mr. Olympia, I think chances are good that he's going to come correct, and he has a very high chance of defending that Olympia title. Because as of right now, who's Shawn's main competition going into 2019? Kai Green has not confirmed he's competing. Phil Heath has pretty much said he's not doing 2019. You've got Rolly Winkler, who's an amazing bodybuilder, and I could see him possibly beating Shawn, but Shawn has beat Rolly many times in the past. Big Ramy was once in the conversation as a guy that could win the Mr. Olympia, but this year he fell down to 5th place. So people could say that Shawn Rhoden's inconsistent, but all of Shawn's main competition in 2019 are also inconsistent. So I think Shawn has a very good chance of repeating that Olympia win. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about our 14th Mr. Olympia champion, 2018 Mr. Olympia Shawn Rhoden, and do you think he will be able to repeat and win the title again in 2019? Thank you guys for watching the video, and please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.